Chikitsa. He is researching for his PhD thesis on the subject of Nyaya and Vada. He has been practicing Ayurveda with Panchakarma Chikitsa based on Charaka Samhita in Nashik. Also, he has been running successfully a 10-bed Ayurvedic hospital of international standards. Since last 5 years, he has been visiting Australia for delivering lectures on Ayurveda and for the treatment of the patients. He has published many articles in monthlies Madhujivan and Ayurveda Patrika and so on. Now let us hear his presentation on the subject of maxims in Charaka Samhita.
शेषकाय प्रसुतान शेषान औत्सुक्य मोहार अपिदांजखान यो पूर्व वैद्याय नमोस्तु तस्मै ब्रह्मणो हि समारब्धाम आत्रेयादि सुपूजिताम अस्मत् आचार्य पर्यंताम वंदे गुरु परंपराम. Respected chairperson, co-speakers, dignitaries present in the auditorium, and my dear friends. I am the opening batsman of this Charaka Symposium, and I hope that not like the Indian opening batsmanship, I hope I will not disappoint you in this symposium. Once a patient complains. The doctor was listening very carefully, and after listening to his complaints, he gave him a very good prescription. The patient was very much impressed on that prescription. He went and took that prescription home and looked at it affectionately. Then, thinking what to do about it, he framed that prescription and hanged it on the wall of the hall of his house. Every day he used to pray that prescription. He used to do the puja of that prescription. He was doing this for 7 days. But still he could not get any relief in his symptoms. The patient thought probably my devotion is somewhere less. So he brought the photograph of the doctor and hanged it alongside the prescription. But still after 7 days there was no relief in his symptoms. He was a little bit frustrated and then went to the doctor and told him the whole story. The doctor told him, my dear friend, you have to act on this prescription. Now precisely this is what is happening in the field of Ayurveda. We talk about the Samhitas very much. We talk a lot about the Samhitas. We praise Charakacharya, we praise Sushrutaracharya. But we do very little to put their prescriptions or their sutras into practice. Now this is the today's situation. If we put out the Samhitas from our practice, if we don't take their guidance, our story will be like the blind persons and the elephants. We will be having our own view, our own opinion about the Ayurveda. What I point my focus on, what I want to point my focus on is, in the first place, understanding Samhitas is the most important thing. Whether you want to learn Ayurveda, whether you want to teach Ayurveda, whether you want to practice Ayurveda. Now, when understanding Samhitas, we need to keep some basic considerations in our mind. Samhitas contain the original text of Ayurveda. So if we want to learn Ayurveda, we cannot escape Samhitas. Especially I want to say this in this period, when Samhitas are regarded as a non-clinical subjects. Wherein Charakacharya says that, Yasya dvadasha sahasri hridhi tishtati samhita. So arthatnya, so vicharatnya, chikitsa kushalascha saha. So Samhitas cannot be non-clinical subjects, and in an era I have come to know that there are efforts are being made to take the only the useful part of the Samhitas and discard the rest unpart, not non-useful part. So I want to emphasize that Samhitas contain the original text and we cannot escape the Samhitas. They are in many ways different from textbooks. They are not, the information is not arranged alphabetically. So we need a different approach for that. And the information in the Samhitas is neatly viewed or coined so that we can have a better understanding of the subject, to facilitate better understanding. Another thing what we want to keep into mind is that Samhitas are not difficult to understand. They need a different approach. They are not just a store of knowledge. The emphasis is on training the brains to acquire knowledge. So this is a different approach that we have to keep in mind. Samhitas cannot be understood only by reading or by conventional way of study. And why I am saying is that Samhitas themselves have advocated use of special techniques, special efforts and methodology of study. I want to give a quote from here. Adhyanopi shastrani tantrayuktya vinabhishak nadigacchati shastrarthan arthan bhagyakshayatha. Like an unfortunate person, wherever he goes and whatever effort he makes, he cannot earn money. Similarly, if we are not using the Tantra Yuktis, we cannot get to the real meaning of the sutras. So what are the precisely? There are the two tools of understanding Samhitas, which Samhitas have advocated themselves. One is methodology of study and another is Tantra Yukti. This is relevant to our subject because in both these tools there is reference of Nyaya used as an important tool for understanding the Samhitas. In the Sutrasthan, 30th chapter of Sutrasthan Charaka Samhita, there is a quote that Tatra Ayurvedas Tantrasthana Adhyaya Prashnanam Putaktvena Vakyasho, Vakyartasho, Arthaveshascha Pravaktaro Mantavyaha. In this part, in this chapter, in this quotation, Charaka Samhita, Charakacharya gives the blueprint of the Ayurveda, the way Ayurveda has designed, and he urges us to take this into consideration while teaching, while learning, and while practicing, because this is the gist of Ayurveda. I am not going to translate the Vakyashaha, Vakyartashaha and Arthaveshaha, though I have made an effort, because while translating, I lose the meaning and the grace of these words. So please excuse me for that. If we go into the detailed information of this methodology of study, we see that Atrauchade Tantro Arsham Kasnena Yatham Nayam Uchamanam Vakyasho Bhavati Uttam. Charakacharya has categorized all the science of Ayurveda in three basic categories. One category is that the original text, as the meaning of the sentence literally has to be taken. All the sutras, all the basic concepts fall under this category. For example, there is a quotation in 11th chapter of Sutrasthana, where Charakacharya says that there are three eshanas, three basic desires what a person has: praneshana, dhaneshana, and paralokeshana. Now, this just description, understanding these three, there are these three eshanas, that is sufficient, and this category it comes under the Vakyashaha category. There is a second category where Charakacharya and other acharyas have elaborated to understand, to facilitate understanding. They have elaborated further, and Charakacharya says that Buddhya Samyak Anupravishya Artha Tattvam Vakbihi Vyasa Samasa Pratijna Hetu Udaharan Upanaya Nigamana Yukta Vis Trivida Shishya Buddhi Gamyabihi Uchamanam Vakyasho Bhavati. Now I want to draw your attention to this quote because this is more relevant to our today's subject of discussion. Vakyartasha, as per the meaning of the sentence, understanding the meaning of the words in the sentence separately, Vyasa and Samasa, separately and collectively. Then making use of Nyaya. In the dictionary, Nyaya is, one meaning of Nyaya is a syllogism or a complete argument, like Pratijna Hetu Udaharan Upanaya Nigamana. And clearly the another part, what we are referring to the maxims is that Trivida Shishya Buddhi Gamyabihi Uchamanam Vakyartasho Bhavati Yuktam. So in these both two references, we have a reference of Nyaya. Now, in the same chapter of 11th, Sutrasthan 11th Adhyaya, Charakacharya has further elaborated the subject of paralokeshana. And in that chapter, he has, with the Pratijna Hetu Udaharan and Upanaya Nigaman, he has proved that Punarbhava, which is the most important part of paralokeshana, is true, and he has proved it using this part of Nyaya. Then the further part, Arthavayoshaha, Tantranyathanam Arthabhurganam Punarvibhavate Uktam Arthavayosho Bhavati Uktam. The difficult part is to be understood by proper elaboration, discussions, grammar, etymology, etc. Now we come to the second part of the tool of understanding, that is Tantra Yukti. The two quotations are self-explanatory. Yatha Ambuja Vanasya Artha Pratipo Vaishmanaveka Prabodhana Prakashatha. It is for Prabodhana, to understand, and to throw the light on the matter subject. One quotation we have already talked about. And now this is the most important reference which relates our subject to these two tools of understanding. Idam Anyuna Shabdartham Tantra Dosha Vivarjitam Shadvyamshata Vichitravir Bhushitam Tantra Yukti. This is the quotation which Charakacharya has told about, he himself has told about the Samhita. What he thinks about the Samhita. He says that it is Anyuna Shabdartham. There is nothing losing in this, nothing is escaped. It is Tantradosha Vivarchitam, it is devoid of faults, and it is decorated with 26 special techniques of study. Chakramani Datta, while elaborating on the word Vichitravihi, he says that Vichitravihi iti Vichitra Nyaya Artha Nyaya Yuktavihi. Techniques which have a special definite meaning and utilizing different Nyayas. These are the Tantra Yuktis like that. So here we can conclude and we can very clearly say that Nyaya is an important tool in understanding Samhita, especially Charaka Samhita. Now why Nyaya? Why not Tantra Yukti? Why not other things? The first and most important point is that this is an untouched subject. To my knowledge, I have not seen anything, any study on this part of Nyaya, especially related to Ayurveda. So this is an untouched subject, neglected area. Many efforts are being made to understand Tantra Yuktis and their application, but I have not seen any thesis or any study on this subject. If it is there, I would like to see it. If anybody suggests, I welcome that suggestion. But to my knowledge, this is a neglected area of study. Another thing, most important thing is that Charakacharya has recommended. As we saw in the methodology of study, Charakacharya has recommended the use of Nyaya. Chakramani Datta in his commentary has endorsed this as an important tool of understanding Samhita. And the most important thing is that it tells about the original line of thinking of the Acharyas. Tantra Kartura Abhiprayaha. Now, before we enter the subject of Nyaya and maxims, the scientific way of study is to decide the meaning of the word Nyaya. Now, the meaning of the word Nyaya can be decided by three parameters. One is the dictionary meaning of the word, because we know in Sanskrit one word has got many meanings and we need to pick the meaning which is relevant to our study. Another part is the part of etymology, the way the word has been coined by the experts in the grammar. Now the grammar and the grammar of the word itself. Now grammar part is that Nyaya is a masculine word having a prefix of ni and e. The literal meaning, the dictionary meaning which have given by Sir Monier Williams in his dictionary. His dictionary is the etymologically based and philologically edited dictionary. So I have taken the reference of that dictionary. The literal meaning that into which a thing goes back. That means Nyaya is a tool which takes us to our desired destination. There are about 15 meanings of the word Nyaya in all the dictionaries, out of which 4 of them are relevant to our present study. Number 1 is the meaning of Nyaya as a method, manner, way or rule or system. The science of logic is the another meaning, logical philosophy. Nyaya Shastra is the second meaning. And the third is the complete argument or a syllogism, consisting of 5 members, Pratitya, Hetu, Udaharan, Upanay, Nigaman. We know this as a Pararthanunman. To prove something scientifically to others, this part of Nyaya is used. And the fourth is the popular maxim, an opposite illustration, such as Dandapupa Nyaya, Gunakshara Nyaya, like that. Now the etymological derivation of Nyaya is very interesting to know. A very authentic textbook on Nyaya Shastra called as Nyaya Kosha says that Pramana Artha Parikshanam Nyayaha. The process of examining a subject with the help of pramanas is called as Nyaya. Pramanas are, the meaning of pramanas is that means of getting correct knowledge. Now the Vyutpatti or etymology is that Niyate Prapyate Vivikshitartha Siddhi Radena iti Nyaya. A thing which takes us to the desired meaning. Now if we are talking about maxims. So I would like to draw your attention to another important thing which Shabdakalpadruma has said about the Nyayas. He said that it is Yukti Mulaka Drishtanta Visheshaha. It is not just an illustration. It is not just a plain illustration. It is Yukti Mulaka Drishtanta. It is a logic-based illustration. Further, Nyaya says that these illustrations which are Loka Prasiddha and Shastra Prasiddha, which are commonly known to people and which have a scientific base. So logic-based illustrations which are commonly known and have a scientific base are nothing but Nyaya, or we call it as maxims. Now in Charaka Samhita we have about 100 plus references of Nyayas. These references can be primarily categorized under 3 categories, classified under 3 categories. Number 1, references related to Nyaya as a method, rule, system, etc. The other category is references related to Nyaya Shastra, and third category is the references related to Nyaya or maxims. we find about 340 maxims in the Sanskrit literature. But after studying the Charaka Samhita and Chakravartin Tika, we find that there are references about 23 maxims in Charaka Samhita. Now, how can we use this information? There are 4 points what these Nyayas teach to us, what this Nyaya give information about us, is that how to apply the logic. What is the method of applying logic, the reason behind applying logic, and what kind of logic is to be applied in which situation. Now the practical aspect of these Nyayas. After studying, I found that there are some important points, the salient features, where we can apply these Nyayas and we can get the desired information out of that. One is deciding the quantity of ingredients where it is not mentioned. We frequently see that there are only formulations described. The quantity is not specified, and Charakacharya says that this quantity is to be decided on a parameter or a Nyaya called as Prakshepa Nyaya. Then it is useful in deciding which meaning is to be taken if there are multiple meanings of a word. Which meaning is relevant? How can you, what is the logic, or what is the base on which that you decide this meaning is relevant and that meaning is not? Because all the acharyas, they don't save any space for pointing out or any fault in the process of logic. So the logic which is used to decide which meaning is to be used, for that matter, Gobalivar the Nyaya is the Nyaya which is used. Deciding what is the exact meaning of the sutra. Sometimes what happens, the meaning and how that meaning is to be applied, how that meaning is to be used in the practice, that knowledge we can get from the Utsarga Apavada Nyaya. We will come to the meaning of these Nyayas, then clarifying the apparent controversy in the original texts. Sometimes what happens when we compare some references, it appears to us, though the controversy is not there in the mind of Charakacharya, it appears to us that there is a little bit controversy. Now that controversy can be clarified, on the basis of again Utsarga Apavada Nyaya. So it's useful in explaining how one principle can be used in elaborating many things. Now for this matter, Tantra also is to be used, but Chakravartin has used in many places a Nyaya called as Samana Nyaya. Then deciding the properties of substances that are not described in Ayurvedic texts, that is Anukta Dravya Nirnaya, for that matter is also Samana Nyaya is useful. Then understanding the viewpoint of Acharyas, again Tantra Kartura Abhiprayaha. These Nyayas can be utilized for these things. Now the examples will prove the point which I wanted to say. There is a compilation of original sutras and the references of Nyayas which is available with us, and due to the constraint of time, we will be discussing only 3 Nyayas today. The Nyayas are Utsarga Apavada Nyaya, Gobalivar Nyaya, and Shranga Grahana Nyaya. The first is being the Utsarga Apavada Nyaya. There are 2 words in this Nyaya. Utsarga. Utsarga is the first word and Apavada is the another word. Utsarga means general rule or precept. Apavada means an exception. The Nyaya of general rule and an exception to it. This suggests that some things are clarified on the basis of general rule as a general principle, and an exception of this rule to this rule always exists. This is a popular thing which is known to everybody, and Charakacharya has and Chakravartin has clarified some principles on this basis. Now let us look at an example. Now this is the example of a sutra. This comes from the Rasayan Chikitsa. The reference is Chikitsa Sam, 1st Adhyay and 3rd Pada. Panchashtav Saptadashava Pippalir Madhu Sarpisha Rasayan Gunanaveshi Samamekam Prayojaya. Now in this chapter, Charakacharya has described the use of Vardhaman Pippali Rasayan or Pippali Rasayan. And here the subject of discussion is that in the commentary Charakacharya draws our attention to another reference. Pancha ityadau sankhya vyatikrameena anukta sankhyanam api pippalinam upayogam suchayati. Yadyapi Trinidravya Natyupayunjita, Pippalin, Ksharam, Lavanam. There are 3 substances which Charakacharya in Vimanasthana has told that these should not be used in excess. Still, Tathapi here, Dravyantra Sanyuktanam Pippalinam Abhyasona Viruddhaha. Kyuma, he gives another explanation. Ukta Pippali Rasayana Vyatirekena, Utsargapavada Nyaya, Sa Nishedot Nyayaha. Now, what is the implied meaning in that? If a general reader goes by these references, he thinks that how is it possible? At one place, Charaka says that pipali should not be used in excess. Another reference, he said that you can use this as a Vardhaman pipali rasayana. This is an apparent controversy. To clear this apparent controversy, Chakrabarti Datta has said that Utsargapavada Nyaya is the thing which is the Nyaya which is used. That means that generally the use of pipali should be avoided in excess, but as a special case in Rasayana Chikitsa, Vardhaman pipali rasayana can be used after some other consideration. So this logic is drawn on the basis of Utsargapavada Nyaya. This is another application of Utsargapavada Nyaya. Now this the original sutra is regarding Uttar Basti in the females. Strinam artava kaletu pratikarma sadachare garbhasana sukham sneham tadadatte hi apavata garbham yonis tadashikiram chitte grudhnati marute. If we take the literary meaning of this sutra, it means that Uttar Basti should be given during the menses. Now there are two words, the terminology of which should be clarified. One word is artava and another is artava kal and rutu kal. Artava kal is that in which artava is there. Masat nishpiccha daharpem pancharatranu bandijat naivatikam arthavam arthavam shuddhamanishya. This is called as artava, the menstruation, the flow of menstruation when it is there, that period is called as artava kala. Whereas rutustu dadasha, the 12 days after this, is called as rutu kala. Rutu kala is useful for conception, artava kala is another thing. So if we take the literal meaning of this sloka, we mean that the Uttar Basti should be given in the artava kala. Now this thing, I had an experience of this. Once we are in a discussion with a senior professor, and the discussion was on the subject of Panchakarma. And he said that he took an objection that you people, you Panchakarma physicians, do not practice Panchakarmas according to the Samhitas. So I said, how can you say that? So he asked me, when do you give Uttar Basti in the females? I said, yes, Uttar Basti in the females is to be given on the 5th, 6th and 7th day. Normally this is the practice. He said that here you are wrong. And he gave me this reference. And I could not contradict him at that time because I was not knowing of the exact meaning of that. And when I studied this Nyaya, I got to the meaning that yes, this is not the meaning what the professor, the respected professor has taken. And how it is clarified? It is clarified is that artava kale to outsargik taya uttam. It's as a general rule. What the commentator wants to say that it should not be taken literally by word. How he has derived this logic is that apavruta iti apagata sanchita rajo rupa avarna. Apavruta, the word apavruta means that when the covered, uncovered. What covered? What kind of cover? Is the cover of the apagata sanchita rajo rupa. When the raja is accumulated, when the accumulated raja is out of the uterus, at that time we should give. So this logic, this application of Nyaya, Utsargapavada Nyaya is useful to have the correct meaning of the sutra. Now another Nyaya is that Go Balivardha Nyaya. Go means, there are again two words in this Nyaya. Go means cow and Balivardha means ox, or the male counterpart of the cow. Go Balivardha Nyaya means when one of them is referred to, the other is also considered. When we are talking of cow, the information is in some cases, exception in some cases, again that is applicable to the ox as well. Because of the similarity in them. The example of this sutra is the Swananta Param Triskandam Ayurvedam Mahamatihi Yathavat Achirat Sarvam Upude Padmanamuni. Now here the discussion is regarding the subject of understanding the taking the meaning of word par. Avidyamano anta paro yasya asav ananta paraha. Atra para shabdena go balivardha nyayena atihi uchyate. Para shabdo hi uvayoho api nadikulayoho vivaksha vashad vartate. There are many meanings of the word par. But in this context, in this reference, what meaning is to be taken? The meaning is to be taken as beginning or adi. Because the another word is anta. Anta and the end and the beginning, they come from the same family or are described in the same reference. So here the meaning of the word para is to be taken as adi. So adi and para, something which the adi and para of Ayurveda is known to the Mahamatihi or Charaka Atreya. So Param Kushna Phalam Yasasa Ananda Para. So he is giving another meaning also as moksha. But here with the help of logic of Gobali or the Nyaya, you can use the meaning of para as artha. Now the third Nyaya is Shrunga Grahana Nyaya. This is a Nyaya which is very frequently used by Chakrapani Datta to clarify certain things. Now Shringa means horn, Grahana means catching hold of. Meaning is that when we catch hold of a horn of that animal, we consider that the whole animal is catched. Every time it is not necessary to catch hold of the whole body of the animal. The implied meaning is that when we refer to a part of the subject, the whole part of the subject can be considered. Now the example is of Snigdha Sweda Rupakramya Swinna Pathyashino Bhave Tadaha Swinna Gaprastu Vyayamam Varjayatmana. This sutra comes under the chapter of Swedadhyaya. And here the subject of discussion in this sutra is a person should be on a restricted diet like Pathyashino Bhave. But here and in the previous and the next shlokas, nothing is to be described. What kind of pathya you should follow, what kind of restricted diet we should or wholesome diet we should follow, and that part is clarified by the Shrunga Grahana Nyaya. Swinna yatha kartavyam tadava snigdha ityado pathashana bhavet ityatra yadyapi Shrunga grahikaya pathyam noktam tathapi sweda pravruti vishaya doshasya yat pathyam tadeva bodhavya. Now the main subject of discussion is Sweda. So the pathya described in the chapter of Sweda should be followed. That is, this logic is drawn on the basis of Shrunga Grahana Nyaya. The summary of this presentation is that Nyayas are an important tool in understanding Charaka Samhita. They offer an easy to understand yet scientific explanation to certain things. And most of the ancient sciences, not only Ayurveda but all other sciences, have accepted this as a scientific form of explanation. I thank you all very much for giving me a patient hearing, and I thank the organizers for inviting me here, to present my views, and I am thankful to everybody. Thank you very much.